Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So here we go again. Quite the interesting week. We got quite a few more rematches than we usually do. And pretty much the usual shenanigans. I'm definitely thinking about changing a few things with the defense, but long term, my meme plan, it's so bad. But I'm just totally going to fool around for even if I get, say, another Altina or another Naga. What do I mean by another Naga? If I get a Naga, I think I'll still fool around in Astra Season, to be honest. Because what I want to do for the trolls is run a defense team of 5 Dumas and one Anima Bless unit. And then at some point get my catapult high level enough so I can destroy all the enemy structures for the memes. But here they're just gonna hit and turn, pretty standard stuff, and the rest of the team has pretty poor coverage against duo Alphons. To be honest, what I could do is actually invest into speed, because of course, imbued Como does give speed, but if I could get a Duma to just double, then we're talking. But here, Legault again misses the kill, which is a pretty recurring theme. I honestly don't think Legault ever will be doing that much. I don't know if he's like scaring people off from like using more Vantage strategies or something. I have no idea. So that's kind of a problem, but at this point, they're going to pick up this kill, and they're just going to leave Altina in range, but unfortunately they can't quite two-shot Olivia, so that's a kill. And at this point, Legendary Edelgard can't really deal with Vantage Duma, so the meme Vantage comes into play. So there we go. Duma actually doing something, Kappa. But yeah, this defense is very, very jank. It's okay against people who do like poor hit and run, so in that respect I'm okay with the defense, but in terms of actually killing tanks and stuff, it's pretty bad. They'll get the job done against some specific units, but it's mostly duo Alphons pretty much. If you use them right, you pretty much just crushes this defense pretty easily, because the only real chance we have is the Dumas and Legendary Crom. The other 3 aren't really going to ever do much. And like I don't know what it was, but the other day I just realized that Open the Future only heals 25% of the damage dealt. So I thought it was like Soul 50%, so I thought it was like insane. And now I realize it's 25%, so I feel like I could definitely engineer a defense that just straight up kills and does all that, or that's able to kill quite a few dual Alphonses using that effect. Because it's like, if your units have about 50 HP, let's round it down to 48 for convenient math, then if they one-shot you, they only heal 12. Which means if we just keep doing enough net damage, they will just end up dying. But for like Brave Ike and stuff, we never really can deal with them, so we do the next best thing and just try to Gale Force off of them. But of course some people run Pulse Smoke Brave Ike, and of course a lot of frontline, there's situations like this replay where they just cleverly set it up so even if Elowood can proc Gale Force, he can't quite pick up any kills. And in this case, I don't know when we watched this in a previous episode, I don't know if they calced out the fact that Elowood was not going to hit Wings of Mercy range, but again, if they did, props. But the margin was pretty close, like 2 more HP, and we could have gotten a kill on like air there, which would have been pretty good. But yeah, that's the one issue with the setup of having double Duma with Eloa is that, of course, you get more HP. Which is kind of an awkward thing, because it's like you probably want more HP to live more threats, but at the same time makes it harder to set up Wings of Mercy. It's a very weird trade-off that I don't really care much for. That's pretty much a recurring themes every time. People like hitting their end turns, people like doing hit and run. I've been noticing a lot more people recently have been using the defense tiles now, which is kind of interesting. It's taken that long for people to realize all you have to do is not, if you don't break the panic manner, all you have to do is just not break the or just not buff your unit if they don't have more than 70 HP, and then they just get a free defense tile. It's pretty straightforward, and then you can just of course have everyone else in the back. So they're just gonna have guard here, which is a good tech for preventing the Gale Force proc on Elowood. Merida doesn't kill, but I mean, does it really matter? It does in the respect of Elowood gets the exact kill, and then he procs Gale Force. Like this shouldn't have happened if Elowood didn't die. If Elowood died in one round, but it just happens to be that way. That's why you gotta sometimes do your daily damage calcs and stuff. But here we have their next player phase, and they just surrender here. But yeah, Merida is pretty solid as an offense unit for Ether Raids, but in this case, well, not enough kill power, so that goes against them. Not enough kill power is a very common reason for losing units in Ether Raids matches, though, not gonna lie. On occasion, like personally, I use that when it happens to me on offense. Sometimes I can use that to my advantage and cause AI potatoing with positioning and whatnot, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time, it's just going to be the usual shenanigans of if you don't kill, then you just get punished for it. So here they can't double Duma, which is like the one nice thing about upheaval when your unit's at 100%. But they brought kind of a Gale Force team, and then they decided to do this, which was kind of interesting. I don't know if they knew the AI was going to do this. If they did, props, because pretty predictable considering Duma was obviously moving first and whatnot. But they aren't able to proc Gale Force there, but now they can. But the real issue, of course, is Crom existing. So Crom existing is always going to be a problem for them here. They can't double even with Veronica, and Crom just heals up. So Crom can just take out the Dancer here, and Altina just one-shots, of course, with Dragon effectiveness. You'd hope she can one-round KO. And so now they can take out Crom just barely, and we end up winning there, but again, doesn't matter too much because Anima Astra, we can't really try because we only have the quote-unquote free-to-play Altina. But this week on offense was pretty fun, using Legendary Julia, and Mirabilis actually came in clutch so much this week, being a bonus unit. She did way too many things. First, Flower of Ease, doing all the debuffing. Whimsical Dream also debuffing. The 4 range debuff is amazing for long range debuff coverage. It's insanely strong. And of course, paired with Flower of Joy, you can passively debuff attack, defense, and res, which came in clutch way too many times this season. But here, debuffing Crom is not going to work, of course, because units are at 100% HP. I believe he negates the debuff, so Flower of Ease doesn't proc, but yeah. She did a lot this week. As bonus unit, she also had more defense and res and stuff, so she was creeping Dark Shrine for me. It was pretty good overall running on offense over, say, Legendary Azura. If I ran a Legendary Azura this week, I actually would have done worse. I think, honestly, from now on, I might just try using Mirabilis instead. Just for the fun of it. The thing about Legendary Azura, though, is, well, you can actually consistently max buff, or just buff Tharja because I use her with Blade Tome for offense. So that's useful. Here they're able to heal up their Bride Fjorm so they can get her HP back up to a level to where she can actually barely hit the Isolation Ploy, but of course Olivia's not at plus 10 yet, only has one Dragon Flower, so in general this wouldn't happen, but again, we don't really care that much. So now they're going to just kick in Shannon and take out Eloit to prevent any Gale Force shenanigans. And they have everything ready to go. Olivia's isolated, so even if Crom lives, and he does, Olivia can't dance him, so he's gonna get free heals here, which is pretty standard. But yeah, I feel like down the road, I do feel like for Aether Raid's defense, if I ever do decide to invest into an A skill for Crom that isn't close counter, I feel like just doing like an attack speed boosting one would be pretty good. Just because if he doesn't, I'm honestly thinking like attack speed push 4, but I'm not sure yet. My main reasoning for that is because of the recoil damage. Because, say in the mirror match or whatnot, it's useful to not, against like another legendary Crom, it's useful to be able to not be at 100% HP. So, and of course, if he doesn't attack, he doesn't get the chip damage. So, I think it's fine, personally, for Crom. I know people run Life and Death 4 and like Swift Sparrow 3, but all that stuff, it has its drawbacks. Like Life and Death 4 drops your bulk, and of course they set up their AoE special here, which is pretty cool. I've been also seeing some more duos hindrances lately, so teams like this would have a bit more difficulty setting up, but AoE is pretty good here, although it doesn't actually do that much damage, surprisingly. But they should be fine here for the most part. Of course, they're going to be debuffed a bit, but they're running Quick Riposte here, so they can actually pick up 1-round KOs, which is something a lot of people don't run on Dual Alphonse. They don't really run Quick Riposte, but here the Galt barely lives, but it doesn't matter because going into their player phase, it's just easy cleanup. But yeah, on Legendary Crom, Swift Sparrow 3 only works during player phase, which is not what I need. It's useful to have it for most phases. So generally I find the attack speed push 4 to be currently the best option. Attack speed solo is also a decent option, but say if I'm going to use him on arena defense, then I guess arena defense, but like Aether Raids defense and stuff in general, he's going to generally start adjacent to folks, so people could definitely, and he's likely to attack adjacent to units if they're clustered, so I feel like it would not be super consistent. For arena stuff, also kind of moderately inconsistent, because if say you use to change fate and then you want to attack immediately, you're adjacent to a unit when you use the change fate, so there's also that issue. So I don't entirely feel like attack speed solo 4 would be a good option. But usual shenanigans, just going to hit end turn. What's new in the house? Duma actually attacking first, barely gets one shot. Doing 0. So it's like a lot of people can just camp the defense tile here because I don't actually punish it. It's all mind games. There's just a panic manner. Literally, I'm pretty sure people don't park under the defense tile because the panic manner exists. No kappa. I mean, there's also tactics room and stuff, but like the shrines, they have infinite map range, so it's not like placing your unit on the defense tile actually changes that. But of course there is also the issue of this entire area being wide open for the fellow enemy units to charge in, but it's like in general, I do feel like people don't use the defense tile as much as they could against this defense. Because it's not really punishing it, other than maybe Elowood with Gale Force lunging you off, but you can always bait from here. But here we have this Fallen Celica with the new refine. Of course, it's a... I heard there's a typo to with the translation, so the if foe initiates combat tag isn't supposed to be there. But just in general, it's just a refine that gives more stats, pretty much. A bit of healing as well, so that's something. Don't personally feel like it's absolutely broken. It's definitely a perfectly fine refine. But it's not broken anyway. It's almost, it's more, I would argue it's maybe a bit more consistent than Gray's refine, but simply because, for example, Gray's +3 to all stats, I believe, base effectiveness weapon only works if he's above 50% HP. Whereas with Celica, they're just going to barely pick up the 1-round KO here. But it just permanently grants +4 attack speed, defense, and res during combat. So it's more consistent in that respect. And then the proc effect for Gray's special refine is having more enemies within 2 spaces than allies, which basically means he's trying to do things for the most part alone. But here they don't have distant counter and stuff, so they're eventually just going to get chipped out there, and so we managed to pick up the kill there. And Elowood's now ready to troll because we all know he's going to grab the defense tile and go. So he's going to be able to get danced by Olivia. So they're in kind of an awkward spot at this point. Unfortunately, he can't proc Gale Force again. Unless somehow he could double in 1-round KO. Or double Sayri, which definitely isn't happening. But pretty usual shenanigans. We're just gonna hit end turn here, and that's all we wrote. Barely 1-round KOing there. But yeah, Celica's refine's perfectly fine. There's nothing terrible. There's nothing too terrible about it. If foe initiates combat is actually intended and it's not a mistranslation, then that makes the refine all the more better. A lot more consistent for enemy phase, of course. But in general, it's just more stats. So what you can't go terribly wrong with that. But at this point, looks like we might be able to get top 6K here. We'll see how many people scramble last minute, last hour Ether Raid shenanigans. But unfortunately, we got -112 lift this week, so we get 2 fewer Dragon Flowers, which at the end of the day doesn't matter too much. Of course, we saw in Resonant Battles, the max free-to-play score is only enough to get up to Interval 9. There was a point where I was 5 ranks away from getting up to Interval 10, but of course more people kept playing the game mode, so unfortunately we're just only going up to Interval 9, but in theory I believe that just means we'll be able to go up 3 intervals to Interval 12 next season. So we won't really have lost much other than the front-loaded rewards. It's like we're getting 400 fewer feathers and 4 fewer divine codes, but it doesn't really matter because it's like Mjolnir's Strike. It's just like Mjolnir's Strike. And as you can see, a lot more people are scoring better in Allegiance battles. So we're definitely looking pretty sus for staying in top 1K Allegiance battles every week. But hopefully once we get to like +10 Legendary Julia and stuff and actually get +10 Velbar and whatnot, then we'll be able to actually get some things done. But in the meantime, I kind of feel like switching Gwendolyn to Earth Blessing temporarily, or long-term temporarily. I don't know how to explain it, because at this point my water core is essentially filled out. So I kind of have an overflow of +10 armors. But here we're not going to even try to stay in tier 21 this week. It's fire season with legendary Roy bonus, and we have Alphonse or like right? Is it? I forgot how to pronounce his name again. Gosh dang it. I think it's Reese or something. I forget. or build up Ross, but I don't have that many copies of him. But yeah, this week we didn't get too many defense wins. A lot of them came towards the end of the season, so at least we did get some. And we're outside of top 1K. Got a pretty decent run this week, considering it's not water season, but not enough. Definitely need to build my Earth Blessing core if I want to try for top 1K during Earth seasons. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's still top 3K. We've been stable for top 3K for a long time and will be for a lot longer. But enough rambling. We'll be back at this point if there's any more replays, but more likely when the results drop in. Goodness. Okay, let's see what we got here. Probably nothing too different. Top 6K. Alright. But we're approaching the age of water season, so we'll be popping off on score for a lot of seasons. It's also water season, so we're gonna get some value here, but I think we gotta... What do we want to toss out? Let's just toss out Tactics Room. I think most of the time it really doesn't affect people that much, and if it does, they can just break it, so I don't really see much value. We'll move it over there because we can, but shouldn't matter too much. We'll put the catapult, putting it there is probably a terrible idea. Let's just, put it... Where do we want to put this thing? I have no idea. Let's just put it over here. Why not? Terrible location for many reasons, but we'll deal with it. But yeah, because it's water season, of course we'll be seeing legendary leaf spammers and whatnot, legendary Zera users for general shenanigans. So, okay, so that's a typo. we were definitely not in interval 1, but we were in interval 7, so clearly something... Maybe they were giving the rewards from the very first season. I have no idea. That's a little strange, but... Alright, Arena should be getting kicked out here. And so we'll be going back into Tier 21 pretty easy peasy because we have Water Blessings and this team, so we'll be stacked for score. Nothing to worry about there. And it'll be a month of arena assault shenanigans. Oh boy. When it's water wind, I might go for actual high rank shenanigans again. But for every other season, generally speaking, we have to just settle for maybe top 100 or something. Obviously, we're gonna get top 1K, but there's that. But Mjolnir Strike, pretty standard stuff. The cutoffs, ever since the game mode began, I believe have dropped down by 2 or something. So from the looks of my ranking here, it looks like for Astra season it's 842 is cutoff. In previous times it was 844. So kind of interesting. A lot. Anima Major I know also went down. Light Major also went down 1 week. That's how we stayed in Tier 21 for the second time we did that. Dark Major, I don't have enough intel on, so I can't say that for sure. But yeah, pretty normal shenanigans. So that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye!